Welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. You're a high performer. Now what? Welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser, co-founder and CEO of Kale Houser Leadership, where we help small business owners, we help salespeople, we help entrepreneurs, we help anyone that's pretty much in a leadership position or needs help with their sales get better at that, increase their capacity for leadership, increase their capacity for sales, and ultimately build effective teams that want to help their businesses grow through all the different mediums that is possible. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about this concept of being a high performer, because chances are, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you were your own business owner, you went out and put all your resources at risk and on the line to create this business, probably out of nothing. Or maybe you took over a business, maybe from an elder parent or an elder family member, or somehow fell into this business where you took on the challenge of running your own business, right? Being responsible for everything from the supply ordering to the advertising and marketing to the hiring and firing and gaining customers and customer service and blah, 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 right? The litany of things that happen that make businesses go round. But chances are you, if you are in that position, are a high performer. You have some degree of extraordinary level of effort in comparison to most people if you look around, especially in American culture. Because I would argue, right, American culture is designed to create workers. It's certainly what our school system is designed for. It's certainly what our higher level education is designed for, is to create workers, create people to actually do tasks and do jobs. Now, once you step outside of that and you're the one that creates the jobs, creates the opportunity for the workers, the chances are that you're kind of a high performer, that you've have a vision, you have goals that are elevated beyond most people, certainly coming out of the middle class and lower middle class that have those. And it's certainly in many cases coming out of the upper class, because they've got kind of different set of problems and mindsets that they struggle with in their own right. But the problem becomes, now what do you do with that? You're this high performer and you've got all these goals and you're driven and you're motivated and you're sacrificing and you're putting in the effort because you understand the vision, you understand the ultimate targets, you understand the ultimate payoff and what it could be worth, down the line. But how, when you don't have those types of people around you, how do you keep that going? How do you maintain that high performance when the people that you're hiring are not that? The people that you're hiring are the workers. I'm not saying that in any sort of derogatory term or in derogatory way, but that's the reality of the situation. And I absolutely, for most of my life, was one of those. I was a worker. I was there to show up and do the task that the master said to do, that the boss said to do. That was me. And certainly I knew that going into the military, and even before my military career, that was me. I never knew anything different. I was never really exposed to any other opportunities or any other options to do it differently. And that's where most of American culture is today. And I would argue a lot of other Western civilization type of cultures. But when people aren't necessarily as high performing in you, like, how do you handle that? How do you reconcile your drive? How do you reconcile your desire for more, your desire? And I'm not talking even just financially, although that is a large part of it. Like, how do you desire your drive to build something big, to impact the world? When you go up to somebody and say, like Tony Robbins is famous, like he wants to feed, I forget the number it is, but some massive number of the people that go hungry in the world. That's like, it's one of his big goals. And people generally, like, you can't even conceive of that. Like, what does that even mean to be able to feed, 30 million people and create all these meals and kind of stuff? But how do you build? So once you've recognized this, and it's probably recognized out of frustration, it's probably recognized out of anger, out of disappointment, because here you are, you're trucking along, you're trying to do these things, and you're sacrificing, and you're pulling all this extra weight, the quote unquote extra weight, and the people around you, they're not stepping up. They're not putting forth that extra effort. They're not, staying late and coming in early. They're not, bending over backwards to service your clients, all those types of things that we think about when we're in that work culture. But how do you handle that? And how do you ultimately build a culture of high performers. And I'm going to offer you really two things. And I do honestly believe it is as simple as this. Simple in concept, I guess is the word, simple in concept, but putting it into practice and actually executing on it may be a little more difficult. But really, it's about goals and it's about accountability. That's it. Like, you've got some inner desire that you created that is your own. It's very personal to you. Out of some experience, something happened to you where either negatively you're like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that. So I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to push, and I'm going to sacrifice, and I'm going to propel myself to try to achieve more, be more, do more, serve more, whatever that looks like, right? That high performance for you. And then some other people, they see that example of a high performer. They see that example of high success, and they're like, I want that. You see what I'm saying? So one is pushed towards it. The other one is attracted towards it. And they go, I want to be like that. I see what that person has achieved. I see what they're doing. I see the impact they're making, and I want to be like that. How do I replicate? How do I model? How do I do some of the same things that that person that I see as successful and who I want to be like, a role model, a mentor? How do I achieve that same kind of success? And really, you as the leader, you need to be the latter of those two examples. You need to be attracting people into your organization that want to achieve the same things as you, that want to achieve success. You may find them as they're running away from something else and they're on that path, certainly, but you need to be that example. You need to be that mentor, that role model to your people so they can see what success looks like. Because a lot of times, and I think we miss this so often, and I've been thinking a lot about this in the past few weeks, is we just don't have examples of what success looks like. Grant Cardone made a really interesting comment about, because people hate on him all the time because he's showing videos of his jets, he's showing videos of his Rolls Royces and, him on a yacht in Italy kind of stuff. And people are hating on him like, oh, you're just showing off and all this stuff. And he goes, no, like none of that matters. He says, I'm trying to show you that this stuff exists and you can have it, that this stuff actually is out there in the world for people just like you and me. He's very upfront with his background, drug user in his 20s, struggled for a lot of his life and didn't find success until later once he started changing his mindset and attitudes. And now he's flying around in a private jet and has, all this stuff and has this great success. But he made this comment of like, most people have never seen a private jet or inside a private jet. Like, I can show them that. And if I can be that one that attracts people to show people like, I want that. I want the freedom that a private jet offers. And now I'm going to go out and get it. I'm going to create that desire, that opportunity for success in my own soul and go out and get it and do the things I need to do in order to meet those targets. But going back to you as the leader, what are you doing to show your people? Now, I'm not saying you have to roll around in your Lamborghini or your Corvette or your private jet or put, that fancy watch on your wrist or anything like that in order to show them. But there are other ways. Like, what does success look like in your industry? What does it look like for you? And how can you use that to create that culture in your workplace of success, of winners, of high performers? And if you need to, go back to my Winners Create Winners podcast, because that's ultimately what we're talking about. High performers create high performers. It's the same principle. And then the second part is it goes back to that accountability. So I talked about a little bit about the goals. I guess I kind of skipped around the goals, but that goes with the showing people the path, attracting people to you, understanding their goals and how you can help them achieve their goals by them helping you achieve your goals. That makes sense? So it's like this mutual beneficial success cyclone that's happening once you figure out people's goals and you start holding them accountable to it. So that is the second part, is the accountability piece. As you are on this path of high performance, as you're on this path of success, whatever that means to you, if that's increased revenue, increased impact on the world, you're donating more to charity, whatever, again, that means to you, as you're on that path and you're doing the things and being the high performer in order to get to those targets and meet those goals, accountability is the massive part. And I would argue it is the key part of this whole process. Because awesome, I can sit down and write in my book all day long that I want to have $1 billion in my bank account, or I want to visit every country in the world and stay at the Ritz-Carlton, blah, 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 right? Or I want to feed 1 million people. But if there is zero accountability to hold me to the actions required to become the type of person that can do that financially, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, because it takes all of those 5 things to feed 30 million people, hungry people in the world. I can't do it by myself. I've got to build a team. So as I'm going through and I have nobody holding me accountable to becoming somebody that can fundraise, right? Get donations from people in order to do that. Somebody that can source food, that can source the logistics, somebody that can handle the social aspect of advertising and being the face of that kind of movement. Does that make sense? Like, you need somebody that can hold you accountable, because ultimately we ourselves are very fallible, and we only have so much inner drive that will take us so far without additional resources pumping into us in the form of, again, mentors and role models and people that hold us accountable. And that is often the key that we understand in our nature. Like, we all understand when we've got somebody, if we're jogging and there's somebody jogging next to us, we typically jog further than when we're going by ourselves. It's a rare person, other than David Goggins, that can just run blatantly by themselves for mile and mile and mile and mile on end through the pain, through the suffering, and just keep going. But once you put that person next to you and you've got that accountability and that encouragement and that desire to please each other, in a sense, you go much further. And that's a lot of the key part that's missing, especially in businesses. How are you holding your people, your staff, your employees accountable to the goals they're telling you that they want to reach? Are you? I mean, not that you have to have negative consequences when they don't, but you should be the number one positive encourager in their life, in your realm. If they're spending the preponderance of their time with you at your job, at your workplace, whatever it is, 40 hours a week, 50, 60, 100, you should be their big cheerleader. Like, oh, that's awesome. You did X, Y, and Z. So now you're moving towards your goal. Hey, did you go run your 5 miles? Because I know you're getting ready for that 10K coming up. What's going on? Oh, did you get those new shoes? Those are going to help you out. Blah, blah, blah. Stretch, whatever that looks like. You need to be their number one accountability partner in those things. And that will start and create that culture of high performers. Now, some of you may absolutely be in a position where you kind of missed that mark. You realized in hindsight, like, holy smokes, I hired really kind of a bunch of losers around me. A bunch of people that are just here for the paycheck. They're totally happy whether they're working here or if they're working at a factory, just stamping things all day long. Boom, 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 move on. All right, give me my paycheck. I'm going home. Well, it's time to start cleaning house. It's time to start implementing policies and procedures and expectations into your workplace. Then hopefully some of them are going to rise to that occasion. They're going to see that example. They're going to see that vision. They're going to see those goals, and they're going to rise. And they're going, I want that. Yes, sign me up. But the reality is, most of them are going to go, no, dog, that's not for me. That's too much. I just want work-life balance. I just want my, minimum wage paycheck so I can pay my bills, never have anything fancy. I can pay my rent. Hopefully it never goes up. Hopefully inflation doesn't go too out of control, blah, 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 right? All the excuses. Hopefully I never have a medical emergency that I have to pay bills for. But you'll get people like that because they exist. Lots of them out there that they only want that security of the paycheck. Don't ask them to do anything extra. They'll never do anything less. And they're your reliables, but they're not high performers, and you can't build a massive business around those types of people. You can certainly have them on your staff and they're good for certain things, but you can't build a culture of high performance with those types of people on your business or in your business. So keep that in mind. I'm not disregarding the level of potential thrash that you may have to go through in order to create this high performance culture. And once you do, it creates a different set of problems, right? New standards, new problems, new day, new problems. And managing a team of high performers becomes a task in and of itself. So, with different issues and different things to think about. And we can talk about that in a later podcast if that's something you want to further discuss and divulge. But I would highly encourage you, if you are not already, hit VIPLeadershipMastermind.com. Join us. We do twice a week live calls. We had a very legit, amazing call just yesterday. That was pretty phenomenal of talking about sales and going through that process and the attitude piece. And it was pretty legit. So I know you'll find a lot of value from that. If you're enjoying this, please let me know. Hit a like, hit a comment, subscribe, share to your buddies, to your pals. Let them know, and we can all kind of help each other grow and become high performers together. All right, no matter where you're at in the world, have a fantastic afternoon. Bye.